How do attachment styles affect breakups? Is there some sort of correlation between what attachment style your ex has and whether they'll reach out to you? Is it harder to move on if you have a certain attachment style? Do people with certain attachment styles break up more than others? We're gonna go through all of that today. So first I wanna start with a basic overview of what an attachment style is, and it's kind of gonna be like a quiz so that you can figure out what yours is, what your ex's is, what your partner's is, any of that kind of stuff. An attachment style is the pattern you use to relate to love in your life. And it's not something that you're born with, it's something that you develop based on the environment you grow up in and the definition you accept about what love is and how you relate to that love because of the examples of love that were shown to you or how you were treated growing up. One last caveat before we dive into the quiz is this can change. It can get better or worse, and it's continually changing throughout your life. In the book Attached, they give a statistic that says that within a 4-year period, people are going to change their attachment style about 25% of the time. And that's not if you're doing something actively to change it, it's just over time that happens. While I've worked with people in coaching, I've seen that people can go from avoidant attachment or anxious attachment or disorganized attachment to secure in about 3 months. And those changes can last if you continue things. But let's go through each of them now and figure out which one you have, and then we'll go through how they help through breakups or make it harder. So first, if you grow up in a situation where your parents are there for you and meet your needs consistently, so anytime you're hungry, thirsty, sad, happy, they're there most of the time. The research says more than 50% of the time. You'll grow up with a couple beliefs. The beliefs are, I am good enough for love, I deserve it, and then 2, the world is good and full of love. So if that's the case, then you'll grow up believing those things and you'll have a secure attachment. And what that looks like as an adult is you'll trust people, you'll communicate openly, and you'll pretty much do all the things that people who have healthy relationships do pretty naturally. And that's secure attachment. You communicate well, comfortable distance and closeness. Anything good you can imagine tends to fall under the bucket of secure attachment. The next one, anxious attachment, is if the parents are there, but inconsistently. So it doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad parents. Like sometimes they are, but most times they're just dealing with other siblings, or they're really busy with work, or they have their own mental health issues, or they're getting divorced or something like that. And kids can sometimes think, okay, my parents are there sometimes, not other times. That means love exists, but I must be doing something wrong, or I must be insufficient in some way. And because of that, I'm not getting love. Love is really rare. It exists, but it just slips through my grasp all the time. So the beliefs are, love is good, it's out there, but I'm not good. Therefore, it's gonna get away. So when people grow up with those beliefs, they're always really hyper vigilant on, is this love gonna get away? Is my partner gonna cheat on me? If they didn't text me for an hour, does that mean that they don't love me anymore? And I know something's gonna happen. They're gonna learn something about me that they're gonna realize I'm not worth loving, and they're going to leave. You ask for a lot of verbal reassurance. You're always checking with them. Do you really love me? Are you okay? And that can add extra pressure on the relationship that can cause it to break down and eventually end in a lot of cases. Next is avoidant attachment. This one's a similar upbringing where things are inconsistent, but they also might be hurt. So you might have trusted someone in the past and then been shown that that wasn't good. Or maybe growing up, you didn't say I love you a lot in your family, or anytime you had negative emotions, your parents were like, handle it, forget about it, this is just something you gotta do. Those kind of patterns tend to produce avoidant attachment. This is where they believe, I am good, but love is the problem, love is dangerous. So when they go into the world, they become pretty self-reliant, but they have a hard time with emotional depth. When they get into relationships, they might be great at the beginning, but then as the relationship goes on, especially as you become official or as you deepen the commitment to someone by meeting their family or moving in together, they might feel a large sense of regret. They might look for ways they can be more independent. They might pull away. They might look for flaws in the relationship until they convince themselves that it's worth leaving. And all of this is a way to protect themselves from getting too close, because closeness equals danger in the mind of an avoidantly attached person. Last one is disorganized. This is the most rare one. It's also called fearful avoidance sometimes, but it's a mix of those last two, anxious and avoidant, where they grew up with pretty traumatic childhoods And then they kind of just develop both methods, that I need to be with you. I feel like I need your love, but once I get it, I can't have it, and I push it away. Big explosions, push or pull, all that kind of stuff. So which one do you think you are? And which one do you think your partner is? Put that down in the comments below and we'll see what kind of trends we see. The trends I see usually are after a breakup, someone who has an anxious attachment style usually gets really into one of two ways. Either they jump into another relationship really quick because they can't be alone, and they just are like, I need to replace this with something because I do not want to be alone with my thoughts. I need to prove that I'm worth it by dating someone else. Or they get very into videos and self-development, that they think everything was my fault, I need to fix myself, and they just obsess over the past and focus on learning, thinking that they'll get their ex back. These types of people are usually more likely to watch lots of videos about how to get their ex back. They'll think that that's the only thing that can make them happy. And the thing that can heal you, if you fall in that camp, is really working on developing a life outside of the romantic. This is the one that I had to focus on a lot, because after I got divorced, I felt like nothing mattered. Like I felt like everything I did was meaningless. And I felt like I couldn't be proud of the things that I did in life unless I had a girl that was more proud of them than I was. So a lot of the healing work there for me was I had to build things that I liked. I had to develop a relationship with myself. I had to spend time with myself and figure out, who am I? What do I enjoy doing? What do I not enjoy doing? What causes do I care about in the world? And that's how I discovered this. So if that sounds like you, that's one direction. We could dive deeper in that in another video if you'd like. Avoidant people, on the other hand, they'll also jump into relationships really quickly, but it's for a different reason. They tend to want to avoid the pain and pretend it's not real. So they might jump into another relationship, they might jump into the gym, they might jump into work, whatever they can do to get their mind off the fact that they just went through a breakup. So pretty much just avoiding it. One useful caveat here is a lot of people think if my ex broke up with me and they're avoidant, then I'm the only one who's gonna feel pain. That is not true. Deeper than attachment styles, everybody is still a human. And humans have to grieve relationships that end. They don't just get to skip it because they have this pattern of how they deal with stress and anxiety. So usually it takes longer. Like I say a lot that it takes about 3 to 6 months is the average time I see people get back together in. So avoidants are closer to the end of that. But they don't just skip the feeling because they avoid it. They delay it, but they don't skip it. The last major one is, we'll talk about disorganized for a second, then we'll go to secure. So with disorganized attachment, usually those are the ones that get back together the most, but break up the most. So these are people that I see that end up having patterns of like getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, and they're weirdly stable in this very unstable way. That it's never a good relationship where both partners feel safe, but it's stable in that they break apart and come back a lot of times, because these people tend to end relationships prematurely when they're not totally sure about it, more out of an emotional reaction. And that brings us to secure. So secure people are actually the least likely to get back together after a breakup. And the reason why is because when they make decisions, they're usually thought out and not based on an explosion of emotion. They usually tried, they communicated well, and then they decided this was not for me. Now that doesn't mean they never reconcile, but I think that's a useful pattern to know. Okay, so hopefully that helps you understand a little bit about attachment styles. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And yeah, click subscribe. We're at about like 10% of people that watch these are subscribed. So if they're helpful to you, it would help me a lot if you subscribed. But thank you, and let me know in the comments what you want to see. And last thing, if you need one-on-one coaching to get through your breakup, move on, maximize chance of saving the relationship, the link's in the bio, or the caption. See you next time.